welcome back to my channel where we're exploring science, soul and flow. The purpose of this particular channel is to liberate and align people to work that they were born to do, and with a particular focus on alignment as it relates to our purpose in our work and in our businesses. I'm really excited that I've got my dear friend Chez on, who is a business owner. She owns a Montessori school. She previously was a teacher. I'm really happy to have her on board. And when I first met Chez, I was running a Live Your Values workshop with a very dear friend of mine. And my friend said to me, "You have to meet this woman." She sent me the most beautiful voice note. And it was Chez. And when I had the honor of meeting Chez, you will get to see she has the most kind, warm, and gracious way and energy about her. And yet what I love is she is driven and ambitious. So welcome. Welcome, Chez. I'm so excited that you're here to share your journey with the listeners here.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Such beautiful, kind words. So thank you. And it's been my absolute honor getting to know you, and having done the values retreat and workshop with you has just been absolutely life-changing for me. So I'm so excited to be on this call with you, and to just chat about all things transitional.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's all things transitional, because there's a lot of people out there who, and I meet them time and time again, who are in a transition, and it's just really tough for them to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So perhaps you can take us back to when you first started to realize you were unhappy. What year was it, and what were some of the symptoms that were emerging for you? What was going on?
So just to give you some context, or the listeners some context, I've been teaching for 20 years. So I would say it was approximately 3 years ago, maybe 2022, when I started to feel that need to change and just uncomfortable, kind of itching for something different. Yeah, I'd say about 3 years ago.
And what was actually happening on a day-to-day basis that made you realize? What were some of the signs that you kind of were experiencing, like emotional, physical?
Yeah, gosh, I was so unhappy. I would experience the Sunday scaries, if you know what that is, like dreading the week ahead, waking up feeling anxious, and, driving to school, to work, not really excited. I found myself complaining all the time, really dreading the work and finding everything just very difficult and arduous during that time.
Yeah, everything does become almost like you're moving through treacle. Everything seems extra hard. And how was your health? Was your health okay?
It was okay. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. My health was okay. It was around about that time that I realized that I needed to look after my health, and I tried to get out there and started running, started exercising a little bit more, just to give myself something extra, that little bit of a boost, because I knew that I was in this rut. But I did start feeling like, something needed to change. So I started running, and just to kind of keep my mental health okay during that time.
Absolutely. And I think we all know that exercise definitely does help. And often when I meet people in transition, they find a counter space to balance out the unhappiness that they're feeling, something that is their flow, whether it is exercise, whether it is, I know someone who spends a lot of time in the sauna, or whether it's meeting with friends. I know that when we've had a couple of conversations around what was the actual experience, you said to me that when you were teaching, now that you look back, if you were to articulate it now, you were saying it didn't feel very challenging. Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think, you know, being in the same position and at the same school for quite some time, I did start feeling that need to grow and develop. I just felt this, I don't want to say boredom, because there is so much to do in teaching, and you never, you know, no day is ever really the same, although there is so much routine. But I did feel like I needed some sort of challenge to just, yeah, grow and develop and feel like I am moving forward, which I didn't feel. I felt stuck. I felt tired of doing the same thing. So yeah, I did start feeling that need to, I guess, what's the right word? Like challenge myself, you know. So yeah, that was something that I was missing.
And, you know, the Maverick Accelerator is so much around making a meaningful difference, work that makes a meaningful difference. And I know that was my own journey as I was doing work. It was in recruitment, but I didn't feel like it was making a meaningful difference. I also did a lot of research work, which is a passion of mine. So you can have things in your work that you're very passionate about, but it can start feeling like you're not making a meaningful difference, even though at one point it was. Did you feel still that it was making a meaningful difference, or was it a very confusing time? What were you enjoying and what were you not? Or was it all just big one sort of, did you think it was the company or the school you were at? Did you think it was the teachers around you? What was happening?
Yeah, so I think all of the above. You know, I've always had a passion for children, so I still loved, you know, being around the children, being in my classroom, being in that space. And as you said, it did actually feel quite confusing, because I had this feeling of knowing that I'm born to be working with children, born to be, you know, in a career where I'm caring for children. So yeah, I started to question quite a lot. I started to question the place that I was working. I started to think, is this, you know, why am I so unhappy? I started to question the people that I worked with. But I also started to do quite a lot of internal work. And I think, you know, I was always searching to try and find out what was it that was making me so unhappy in this space, you know, knowing that this is my passion, that I'm, you know, kind of where I'm meant to be. And also understanding that there's going, you know, no school is perfect. Every school is going to have its ups and downs. So yes, that's when the questioning started coming about.
And once you realized you needed to make the move, what did you do? Or was there a time when you said, oh, there's no ways I can change my attitude anymore, I've got to make a move? Was there that time? And then what did you do?
Well, it was really after having done the values workshop with you that honestly changed my mind and gave me clarity. It gave me so much clarity, and I started to understand that the place that I was in was not in alignment with my values. You know, once I understood my own values, I understood that there was a misalignment and that I wasn't in the right place. So that was step one, understanding myself and understanding my heart and what was important to me. So then I started to, you know, search for other opportunities out there in the teaching world. I got my CV ready, and I started sending out my CV to various schools in the area that I was interested in, that were possibilities, but just nothing came back. And I just thought, what am I doing wrong? I must be doing something wrong. So I continued that internal work. And I think also after doing the Maverick Accelerator with you, I understood where my brain, or how my brain was working, and how my brain was just overcompensating in the job that I was in. how I was having to always adjust. And that also was quite, very eye-opening to me, understanding why I was so overwhelmed, and why I just knew that I needed to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for me, I started my journey where I understood adaptation. So using the Maverick assessment, which is based on Jung's work and Catherine Benziger's science. And I love how you put it, and I've used that a few times now, is when you're overcompensating in other areas. It shows you a visual, and when you see that, you can't unsee it. It starts to make sense. Oh, now I'm not aligned, not only in my values am I not aligned to this company, so that's one tick box, and I can't change my values, because you can't change your values.
Yes.
And then your next area is, okay, this is how I use my brain, but for me to be happy, I've got to use it in a way that doesn't match with how I'm currently using. So it's almost like another point of reference. And I just love what you're saying. And I was on a course yesterday and we were talking about it yesterday as well. It doesn't matter where you go, whether you're doing values or wherever you go, what you're speaking about is the foundation of understanding yourself and just continuing with that work, and not getting disheartened with the sending out of the CVs and getting rejected and thinking, what am I doing wrong? But staying on that path. And let's talk a little bit more about that path. What were some of the practices or the people that you collaborated with or connected with, or mindsets that you carried that carried you through this period of time?
So of course, my husband is my sounding board. I've also got a very close circle of friends who I confide in, and talking to them about what I was experiencing, just having people to kind of offload on and tell them what you're going through. So it was the practice of speaking about it and really acknowledging that something needed to change, and kind of putting it out into the universe, if you would like, to open those doors of, this is something that I'm acknowledging, that I'm not happy. I'm acknowledging that I need to do something to to make that change. But yeah, I think I've always tried to keep an attitude of gratitude and to stay relatively positive, wake up each morning and start again and try again, that inner work, that inner self-talk, that positive self-talk, just reminding myself that, things will get better, things will change. And as I said, that practice of gratitude, always seeing the silver lining in things, and, acknowledging that possibly there's a reason why, I haven't heard from that school or the next school. But yeah, I guess those were my practices. And then, as I said, I did start running. So that also gave me a lot of clarity. I continued with the exercise. And that really did help me through that time of kind of unrest, if you would like to call it that. But yeah, so I think those were my practices. And then I also did a little bit of journaling, which was very helpful, just to put my thoughts onto paper and understand where my head was at and what I could do to change my circumstances, and hopefully create something better.
And oh, absolutely, journaling is so powerful. Even just a few sentences, there can be an aha in that, because as we write, we have to understand what we're thinking. It has to make sense on the paper. So there's almost like this transition from being a state of confusion inwardly to, as we start to write, it starts to make sense, because we have to articulate it, then we unravel it. And then finally, I think what I always resonated with me as well is when you said to me, you know, Claire, when the opportunity did come, if I hadn't have done all of that work before, and we've also got the thinking big, which
Yes.
is a very important. So it's not about, you know, what you're actually doing, the Maverick assessment, this or that, because everyone's path is different. What you were saying is that you had done the work, you'd done the work on yourself. So by the time the opportunity came, which was this opportunity to get involved and become a business owner of a school, a very reputable school that is known globally all around the world. And that doesn't just go to anyone, those kind of opportunities. It was quite a tough selection process for you. You've always said to me, you know, Claire, if I hadn't have done that work, I wouldn't have taken that opportunity. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes. So I think, you know, just going back to the thinking big, that was such a very, very special process for me, because it allowed me the opportunity to journal and recognize what it is that I really wanted for my life. Journaling, you know, what I thought my perfect day would look like, and journaling about, you know, what really mattered to me and how I wanted my life to look like. So that really was a very eye-opening experience for me. And then, yeah, you know, people might call it luck that this opportunity came my way, but I don't really see it that way. I think, you know, something was working in my favor, and I had, in a way, kind of brought it forward for myself. But when the opportunity came to light that we had the school and we had the opportunity to purchase the school and to run this business, years ago, I would have said, absolutely not. I know nothing about running a business. I know nothing about, you know, marketing, finances, accounts, etc. And I would have told myself every reason under the sun why it wouldn't work. And after having done all of this internal work, the Maverick Accelerator, understanding how my brain was working, doing the values, understanding my core values, working with the thinking big, and just really knowing what it is that I wanted to do. I think that gave me the confidence to say, yes, actually, I'm going to be able to do this. I am capable of this. And that really was, for me, life-changing, because it turned my whole life around, you know, from being in this rut to really just being in this beautiful business, which felt like a childhood dream come true. And just knowing that I would be able to do it, because I'd been through a process of understanding that I had put on limiting beliefs. You know, I had all these limiting beliefs that I had now overcome. And yeah, that gave me the confidence to do what I'm doing now, and to just know that I am capable. So yeah, it really has been a life-changing experience, and definitely something that I wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't do all of that internal work. So absolutely. I think it's more than just, you know, getting your CV ready and sending it out there. It's really doing that investigative kind of going deeper and just finding out what it is you want to, finding out who you are, first of all, and what it is you want from this life. And yeah, as you know, it doesn't come without its challenges, and it's not like someone waved a magic wand and then it just came to be. There've been, you know, there's lots in the background that, you know, helped to make it possible for me to move from teaching into owning my own business. But definitely, I attribute a lot of it to having done that internal work.
Thank you so much, Chez. And in, you know, what I want to just wrap up here is the main points. And, you know, we were chatting, as I was saying, on this course yesterday, which was about know thyself. And I think a lot of people do say, oh, but I know myself really well. But I think what's the touch points that are important is knowing your values, knowing what you value. That helps make transitions, because you know that that's like a lighthouse. It cannot shift or change. Optional is knowing one's natural strengths. That doesn't need to always happen for people to make a strength, but I think that it does help when you say, oh, you can see, okay, that's why I'm in flow. That's what comes hard to me. So I don't really want to go into another job that's going to be similar, you know, that I'm going to be doing more of that kind of work, because that can also be confusing and hold us back. So that helps us understand that. And then finally, this is for anyone out there, we created a group about 4 or 5 years ago called Thinking Big. And what happens is we weave people into the process whenever they are ready. And the first point where we start at is understanding yourself. And as Thinking Big goes, it's one of the main things, as Chez has said, is getting to know, what do you want from your life? What does the day look like? So you're not just sitting there almost at a bus station, just hopping on any old bus, but you're sitting there with intention and saying, oh, I don't want to go to that bus. I'm not going to catch that bus, because that bus is not where I want to go. And so it is doing that work. It's sitting down, it's thinking, what do I want for my life? What does an ideal day look like? Write it out. What does an ideal week look like? And then Chez also mentioned limiting beliefs. I know that this is as old as it can be. Everyone talks about it. But when you start to articulate them, and then in Thinking Big, they have a way, and you can all get that on Audible, they have a way of you coming up with strategies to overcome that, or a new belief system where you really, what you come to understand is where you are saying probably not very positive things to yourself. So this has been an absolute pleasure. I've been so looking forward to this, because there are so many people that I meet who are stuck and they feel so hopeless, and they think exactly what you're saying. As they're sending out their CVs, they're looking for work, they're doing the seeding and the planting and they're saying, what am I doing wrong? And I think the message from us both is just keep focusing on who you are. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a skill set that you learn. Maybe it's just going inward as opposed to outward. So thank you, Chez. We will see you in the next video, because in the next video, we're going to be talking about what is life like as a business owner. What are some of the highs and what are some of the lows? So thank you so much, Chez.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Thank you for having me. It's been such a privilege, honestly. So, and thank you for all of the hard work that you have done with me. I honestly wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for you working alongside me. So I just, I'm so grateful, so grateful to you for everything that you have, assisted me with and helped me with. So. Yeah.
You are most welcome. It is always a pleasure, and we're always learning from each other. So thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.